I know we a little bit of some technical difficulties, and some people may be joining us throughout the program. So thank you all for your patience. And before we do get started, I do want to remind everyone that we will be recording. Thank you all for coming to this morning's coffee and conversation. It is our September AARP New Hampshire Coffee and Conversation, which we are calling Granite State Voting Information for the Midterm Elections. So my name is Mary Roberge. I am an AARP New Hampshire volunteer. And our guest speaker this morning is Jennifer Delaney from AARP New Hampshire. Working with me this morning, okay, so we seem to be having some echo.
Yeah.
Could everybody
Feedback.
please mute yourself? It would be really appreciated. Okay, and so working with me this morning is one of our staff people, Ashley Davis. She's going to be working on the registration, and also is another AARP volunteer, Bev Cotton, and she's going to be monitoring the chat to make sure that we get all your comments and your questions answered throughout this program. Thank you all for muting yourselves. This will help us to eliminate all the background noise. And as I said before, Bev will be monitoring the chat. The chat button, if you're unfamiliar with Zoom, can be reached at the bottom of your screen. Just click on and type in what your questions or comments are. I just want to let everybody know that at AARP New Hampshire, we are focused on the health and the financial security and the social connections that are crucial to the well-being of the 50 plus in the Granite State. We do a lot of work and carry it out through targeted advocacy in the state and federal levels, compelling engagements of the 50 plus community statewide, and also serving as a trusted resource for information for our members and the public. As we get ready to vote in the New Hampshire primary on September 13th and the November 8th midterm election, it is helpful to learn about absentee balloting, polling locations, and how to register to vote. These are all topics that will be covered by Jennifer Delaney, who is our guest speaker. Jennifer is the Associate State Director for Advocacy and Outreach in AARP New Hampshire. Jennifer has a wide variety experience. She is an expert. She has experience in advocacy, public policy, coalition building, and grassroots mobilization. Formerly the Executive Director for Global Outreach for Children, she led a nonpartisan coalition efforts in Washington, D.C. to secure funding in the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief for orphans and vulnerable children in developing countries, which helps to provide billions of dollars in humanitarian assistance to support vulnerable children across the globe. Jennifer also led advocacy efforts at the Hope for African Children Initiative, outreach efforts for the Africa Alive program at the Johns Hopkins University, Bloomberg School of Public Health, and voter outreach in Carroll County, New Hampshire. She has served as a consultant for organizations that include the Kehoe School of Global Affairs at the University of Notre Dame and the nonprofit Positive Tracks. As a primary caregiver for a parent with Parkinson's disease, she has become passionate about the issues facing people 50 plus as they age. Jennifer holds a BA journalism from the University of Massachusetts Amherst and a master's in public policy management with the McCourt School of Public Policy in Georgetown University. She's an avid open water swimmer and a New Hampshire skier. Welcome, Jennifer. I'm so happy that you found time to join us this morning. So, Jennifer,
Thank you so much, Mary. It's great to be here and to see so many familiar faces and also to meet new folks that I haven't met before. So thanks so much for having me.
Oh, great. We're happy to have you. So Jennifer, we were just wondering if you could tell us a little bit about the approved reasons for someone to obtain an absentee ballot, and how can they request an absentee ballot?
Sure. Well, some of the approved reasons for obtaining an absentee ballot are disability, illness, employment. So if you are working and it means you can't get to the polls. But that when we say employment, that also encompasses caregiving for both relatives and children. And also, there are additionally religious exemptions as well. So, those are some of the reasons. Those are the main reasons that you can request an absentee ballot. And of course, if you are going to be, not in the town at that time, you can, let them know that it's just not possible for you to be there. Um, and there are several ways for you to obtain an absentee ballot. You can go to the Secretary of State's website and download one there. You can also call your town clerk and ask that they mail an absentee ballot to you. Although I would just say right now the time is getting a little tight. Um, so you can also go in and pick up an absentee ballot in your town clerk's office. And, as Bev and I were talking about right before we came onto the call, you can also, New Hampshire doesn't officially have early in-person voting, but you can go into the town clerk's office, give your reason for why you need an absentee ballot, fill it out right there while you're in the clerk's office, and then hand it back to the clerk.
Oh,
And then yeah.
No, go ahead,
And
Jen.
then just Sure. So, absentee ballots need to be they need to be, if you are hand delivering them, they need to be delivered back to the town clerk's office by 5 p.m. on September 12th, which is the day before the election. However, if you are mailing your ballot, they need to be received by 5 p.m. on election day. And I believe Bev just put the Secretary of State's website in the chat.
Question regarding absentee ballots. Do they need to fill out an absentee ballot for the primary and a separate one to vote in the general election?
Yes, each time you vote, you will need to fill out a new ballot. Yeah, because they're two separate votes.
Great, thank
I
you.
mean, because if you think somebody can vote in the general election and not vote in the primary, and somebody can vote in the primary and not vote in the general. So they're two separate votes and two separate procedures.
Great, thank you. So I
Sure.
believe you mentioned that the dates for the New Hampshire primary are September 13th, and that the midterm elections are on November 8th.
Yes.
How can a voter, find out what his or her polling location is and the hours that the polls are going to be open?
Sure. There are two ways to do that. They can either go to the Secretary of State's website and look up the information there. They can look it up on the voter rolls, or they can also, once again, one of the greatest and easiest sources of information. You can call your town clerk's office. Those are the two best ways to do it. So either go online and go to the Secretary of State's website, or call your town clerk.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
So are there what do we need? What form of identification do we as voters need to bring to the polls?
Sure. So the Secretary of State's website just updated this list in July. And there's actually a 7-page document on the website. However, the most common forms of ID are a driver's license, a non-driver's license ID, a passport, a naturalization card, or even if you don't have these things, you can sign an affidavit that you have them and then you can still vote. So if you show up without any of these forms of ID, you just need to sign an affidavit to be able to vote. And then, you know, if you want additional information, you can go to the Secretary of State's website. But I think, you know, some of the list is quite long. So I think that those are the most that will cover it for 99% of the people.
Great. And I just thought of this, Jen, and I really apologize, but I'm thinking that these are the same sort of documents that we would need to bring with us when we request an absentee ballot.
Yes, I think so. I believe that you do need to show some ID, or again, if you don't have the ID, you can sign an affidavit when you request that absentee ballot.
Thank you, Jen.
Sure.
What are the races on the ballot this year? I mean, who is running for office?
Sure. So on the governor's race, the incumbent is Republican Chris Sununu. And his Democratic challenger is Dr. Tom Sherman, who was also a New Hampshire state senator. We then also have the U.S. Senate race, where Maggie Hassan, who had previously been governor, she is the incumbent Democrat. And then on the Republican challenger side, the two folks who have polled above 15% are General Don Bolduc and also Chuck Morse, who was the Senate president. That is seen as a very competitive race. There's lots of money being pumped into that race from Washington. Additionally, we have Congressional District 1 with Chris Pappas as the Democratic incumbent. And there are a whole slew of challengers for him. That is also quite a competitive race. And then Congressional District 2, which is incumbent Representative Annie Kuster, which is seen as a less competitive race. And she also has quite a few challengers. And I think some of you probably are very aware there was quite the redistricting process in the congressional race. And there were about 5 towns that moved from Congressional District 1 to Congressional District 2. It was Sandwich, Albany, Jackson, Campton, and New Albany. They used a process which you know, I think folks saw it went back and forth. It went, you know, between, you know, the New Hampshire State House, then it actually ended up having to be decided by the courts. And they finally had a professor from Stanford come in and kind of use the theory of the path of least change. So they thought that this was, you know, kind of the way to change the district a bit, but not, you know, too much. So those were that was the big change in that race.
Thank you. Bev, do we have any questions or comments from the chat?
Yes, we do. Sharon would like to know, if you are non-declared, can you go to the town hall and declare a party affiliation and get your absentee ballot at that time?
I believe you can. And what you need to do if you are undeclared, you will need to come in as undeclared. Then you have to declare, a party to vote. And then if you want to go back to undeclared, you have to then let the town clerk know that you want to go back to undeclared, or you will remain with whatever party you choose. Like, for example, if you're voting in the Democratic primary and you don't change back to undeclared afterwards, you will be registered as a Democrat. So if you know, New Hampshire has so many undeclareds, it's just good to know that you absolutely can't forget that step if you want to go back to undeclared. And I do have a few resources that I wanted to, talk a little bit about and show folks after questions. So
When you fill out the absentee ballot application form, it will ask you what ballot you want, whether you want the Democratic ballot or Republican ballot for the primary.
Great. So Jennifer, if you'd like to share those resources with us, it'd be great.
sure. Okay, great. Well, the first one I am going to bring up is, hold on. I'm not sure if you guys can see this. Can you see it, Mary?
Yes, we can now.
Okay, great. So one of the things that I really love about this resource is that you can, I don't know if you can see over on the right-hand side here, if you click on this, sign up for alerts about key election dates and deadlines, this will send you information right to your inbox and remind you, when you need to vote and how, to access the information. Oh, and here's the redistricting, the redrawn boundaries right here. I think you can see right at the top, it's aarp.org. Well, actually, you guys don't need to, don't look at that. You can get to this website in a much easier way through aarp.org/NH votes. aarp.org/NH votes. So you can get there through that. You can also, here's the whole, has great links to the approved reasons, information about calling your town clerk. As you can see, I've mentioned the town clerk a lot, and you can see throughout here, it's all throughout this page. And here's the information on affiliation and the deadlines on absentee ballot. So there we go on that. I also just want to bring you, you can see here, again, this has fantastic information. Any other piece I wanted to have trouble navigating around the call 60342, and they will answer your query 271-3242. So this is the fantastic resources. And then I want to just so in case folks were thinking about voting absentee, they could just kind of get a look at it. And using for voting absentee is if you are incarcerated, so religious commitment, disability, publicity. So here are all the reasons. I just thought it would be helpful for folks to see this, you know, with their own eyes. It's very easy to fill out, and you can either, again, that can be dropped off, or if you're mailing it, if it arrives, and I think I can stop sharing now. If it arrives by 5 p.m. on election day via mail, then you're all set.
So would they be able to print that absentee ballot from the website and use it, Jen, or would they have to actually go into the town or city clerk's office and obtain?
No, I believe you can print it right from the Secretary of State's office. If you want, I could take you back and show you where that is. That's, did you want me to take you back in, or that ballot is from the Secretary of State's website.
Right, and I think that, yeah, so Bev did put in what the link was to the Secretary of State's office in the
Oh,
chat.
great. Do you want me to put in, okay, excellent. Yeah, and I mean, I suggest for anyone, like any questions you have, it is, I mean, those are the 3 places to go. There are a lot of websites out there that may have some of the information, but the 3 places that you are going to get absolutely up-to-date, correct information are, you know, AARP, the AARP New Hampshire Votes website, Secretary of State's website, and calling your town clerk. The other thing, voting hours, you know, official voting hours on election day are from 11 to 7. So that's what you will see on the Secretary of State's website. But you really need to check in with your town because, like, for example, I know in Ossipee, our voting starts at 8 a.m. and goes till, I think, 8 p.m. So a lot of towns understand that people are working and want to, you know, would like to vote before they're going to work or after work. So a lot of hours are longer than what's listed on the Secretary of State's website.
Great, thank you. Bev, did we have any more questions or comments in the chat?
Kat commented that you can print the request for an absentee ballot, but not the ballot itself. For many of those
Right.
places, because there is a form that you have to,
Right.
that is called, I think it's either called an application form or request form.
Right. Sorry, yes.
And that can be immediate, you know, you can just do it right there on the spot and then get handed your ballot. And the ballot needs to be put in that inner envelope and signed. And then handed
Sign
back.
the outside of the, sign the outside of the envelope and then put it in the other envelope. So there are 2 envelopes.
And once you can apply absentee on a single application form for both the primary and the general election, but you won't get, obviously, the general election ballot. That will get mailed to you when the time comes.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Thank you for clarifying.
Thanks, Bev. Thanks for clarifying that.
Great. Do we have any additional questions?
I don't see any right now.
Great. Thank you so much. And thank you, Jennifer. It's really been a pleasure to have you with us this morning and to talk about voting in the upcoming New Hampshire primary and the midterm election, and helping to navigate us through that and showing us some valuable resources. I want to thank our audience for joining us for today's Coffee and Conversation. And I hope you did enjoy hearing from Jennifer and that the information that she has shared will be of value with you. I do want to encourage all of you to visit AARP's website You do not have to be a member of AARP to access it. The link in the chat is www.aarp.org/nh. And also, if this same link will allow you to check the AARP New Hampshire activities and events that are happening for more virtual programmings that include live cooking demonstrations, paint and sip events, gentle yoga, and yes, we will continue our monthly coffee and conversations. If you are interested in becoming an AARP New Hampshire volunteer, please email us at nhaarp@aarp.org. And thank you again, Jen, Bev, and Ashley for your helping today and for all the wonderful information that you gave our audience. Be well, everyone. Take care and stay dry today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you. And so I am trying to. There we